Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Chris Holt, and today, with the BMR rear sway bar installed on my 2010 Camaro, we're going to take it out on the road and test it. We're going to test it against the BMR sway bar, no rear sway bar, and the factory stock rear sway bar. So we're going to do all this on the road. Now, I don't have access to a track or anything like that, but I'm going to try and push the car and see if the sway bar really does anything. So this will be a test. I'm doing it on my 2010 Chevy Camaro, but it'll be really interesting to see if this translates to other cars. So in this video, we're going to test if an upgraded rear sway bar really does anything to the handling of your car. Alright guys, it's going to be a cold startup on the Camaro. Yeah, it's a bit obnoxious. This is windows up and everything, but windows down is pretty loud. But here soon, guys, we have a new exhaust coming for this car. One that I'm super excited about, one that I haven't seen any videos on, but one that I'm sure is going to be great. But just like that, guys, we are going to take the car out and give a little test drive, I guess, of the stock rear sway bar before removing it, and then we're gonna put the BMR sway bar on, and I'm excited for that. So let's get out onto the main road and give it a couple tests. So before, I just want to give you guys an idea of steering input, and there's a little bit of body roll, but it's not too bad, but it's something that I'm sure we're gonna mitigate with the rear sway bar. Now, I do have this lowered on H&R Super Sport lowering springs, but it's nothing like a coilover or anything like that. And so the ride is still pretty tame, which I do like because I drive this car quite often. Since I've gotten the WRX, it's become more of like my weekend car, but it's still good to have a nice riding car in my opinion. So just like that, guys, let's get heading out of here and yeah, see what we can do. Now, I know it's not going to be totally scientific because I'm not actually measuring the body roll with anything other than just driving feel. And like I said, we're not on a track or anything like that, so it's going to be probably pretty hard to tell. But, I mean, I've driven the car like this for almost 5 years, maybe even 6 years now at this point. But, yeah, there's not a ton of sway, but like, it's not just wanting to just turn on a dime like that. You know, it's a big, heavy car, I think 3,700 pounds, which, like, compared to my WRX, which is 2,900 pounds and much smaller of a car, it just has different handling characteristics, and I'm hoping to make the car feel a lot smaller with the sway bar. Now, I'm gonna try and get out to a road that has a solid twisty that we can kind of test it on, but you know, as far as where I live, there's not a ton really close, and I'm gonna try and get driving characteristics on the same set of road for each of the 3 sway bars. Now, it's nothing like a quick set of turns or anything like that. I don't really have a good like kind of mountain road or a bunch of switchbacks and stuff really close. Okay guys, so here we're coming up on a roundabout, so just to give you a rough idea of kind of the body roll that we experience, I mean, I'm not going to take this super fast because there's curbs and stuff, and hopefully not other people, but just as a quick left to right. It kind of feels like the car wants to, it takes a while to load the side, and I think that's what's really going to help with the rear sway bar. It's going to keep the back end way more planted, and it's going to mitigate some of that time that it takes to load the certain side. Now, I've done go-karting a lot of my life, like go-kart racing, and so those don't have suspension or anything like that. It's a completely solid rear axle, and so there's not a ton of weight, so it doesn't take long to weight transfer in that. at all. So it's just something that I'm gonna see. Hopefully that rear bar is gonna change up for me. Here's gonna be a little second gear pull for you guys. Oh yeah. Love disturbing the peace. This isn't like a fast car or anything like that. I mean, I'm never claiming it to be a fast car, but it sure puts a smile on my face driving it. It's a ton of fun to drive, and I'm just hoping to take it that one step further with, you know, everything that I'm doing to the car. So, alright guys, this is a little quick left, right. And so you can see how kind of the rear end likes to get a little bit squirrely there. And the front likes to push, so you really have to outdrive the car. And coming up is another set of turns. I'm going to try and go really slow because this truck ahead of us, and try and push it around the corners a little bit because it'll demonstrate kind of the handling characteristics of it. So, hello fire truck. This one I gotta slow down a little bit more for, but right there was about 55 or 56 miles an hour that I could do without tire squeal and feeling pretty decently on the edge. And now I'm gonna turn around and do that set of corners again. We're gonna go back through the other way and see what we can do. Go up into 5th, down into 4th. Okay, I could have done that corner faster without tire squeal and stuff. Yeah, see on the end there it was pushing quite a bit and there was quite a bit of body roll. So coming back I was only able to do about 52 or 53 on the stock bar. Now let's see what no sway bar can do. So I know you guys are probably wondering, why am I even test driving the car without a rear sway bar? And the true answer is because I want to see if it really makes a difference. From the stock sway bar to nothing to the BMR. And I'm sure it actually will, but doing my first like little bit of driving, I can't really tell, but I haven't even, you know, pushed it or anything like that. But I mean, it's still decently darty. Now I know it's because I still have the front sway bar in, but because of this, I am wondering when we do the turns and stuff like that, if I will understeer like crazy. Because the stiffer the rear is, and you know, leaving the front as tight as possible will really help the car handle much better and mitigate some of the understeer that we get. So what happens when we leave the front significantly tighter and stiffer than the rear is? It'll be really interesting to see once we push it. Now from the on center turning, you know, you can go about this far and not really feel much. But it will just be really interesting to see once I get that BMR rear sway bar on, to see if I can tell any difference. Because right now, you know, I'm not pushing it or anything, but you can't really tell any difference from having the sway bar on or not. Now when I put the BMR sway bar on, it's going to be, I think, it's going to be about 200% stiffer than the stock rear bar. So it'll be really interesting to see if, you know, if you feel any difference. I couldn't tell you how much, you know, stiffer compared to not even tying the two sides together the rear sway bar is, the factory rear sway bar is. But it'll be interesting to see how we feel. And just like that, guys, we're coming up here on the roundabout that we did in the first one. So slow down, let these cars go so I can have, well, they're going very slow. I will see if I can have a semi-aggressive right, left, right. Oh, I can feel that, you know, right to left. It doesn't want to transfer the weight over even slower than on the factory sway bar. It's kind of a weird feeling. It almost feels like it's like a bendy bus and the back just follows the front. Almost like, you know, a shopping cart or something where the rear end just wants to push when you're going straight or whatever. So it'll be really interesting to see when we get up to the corners to see how she handles it. So one of the things that's really surprising to me is that the car doesn't drive like any better or any worse from not having the rear sway bar at daily driving speeds. So we'll just do this roundabout kind of quickly, like more quickly than last time. I feel like it takes quite a bit more steering input to get around it like that. But I mean, overall, I mean, it's not driving absolutely terribly like I was kind of concerned it might. Obviously this is just daily driving speeds, and the reason why I really wanted to test this is because like certain off-roaders and stuff decide to run their trucks or SUVs and stuff like that without sway bars, sometimes even on the road, because when you get to the trail you want each wheel to act independently of each other. So the less tie-in you have between the two, the better. And for this being an independent rear axle car, it means that both the tires are not tied together. So it will be really interesting. It was really interesting to see that daily driving and all that isn't really affected if you just want to take off the rear bar. I don't recommend it because it gives you, you know, it doesn't really give you any benefits or anything like that to not have a rear bar. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens when I put the BMR bar in and how that makes the car handle. So we're coming up to the stop sign where last time we had a little bit of a struggle even on the stock bar where it kind of dips down left and right. So it'll be really interesting to see how it works without the rear bar. So felt like the rear end wanted to give out there. It's really interesting. Hard to say, but it is very interesting, the driving dynamics and how it's changed. Please don't pull out, Jeep. Thank you. Pretty cool Jeeps and GXs, so I'm gonna kind of slow down and take this. Well, hopefully this car can turn. Please turn. Don't stop. Don't stop. Well, oh, that felt sketchy. Around 50 miles an hour it felt sketchy, so it's a bit slower. Let's see on this side. Oh, that's really sketchy. It just feels like the back end just straight up wants to give out. It's a really weird feeling, and I don't know if it is really well cast on camera or anything like that, but the feeling behind the wheel is kind of weird, or really weird, running without a sway bar in the rear. So I'm going to turn around right here again and run it back. Now last time that we came with just the stock sway bar, I didn't take it as fast as I felt like I could have, but it'll be really interesting to see going back if I'll even be able to match those speeds. Now it's not something I'm like looking forward to doing, like I have to match the speeds, but I'm gonna let these, I'm gonna just go for it. But it'll be interesting to see how it feels, because I think this way is probably a little bit more sketchy than the other way. So yeah, we'll just see. I'm gonna drop down to third and accelerate a little bit. Okay, that one, it felt pretty okay, and I think that was pretty similar to what I had in the stock bar, but camber right there felt really sketchy. So I could tell that it's a little bit not, you know, a little bit worse, and this isn't like pushing it to its limit or anything close to that. So it will be really interesting to see what the BMR bar will do. So on that first corner, I would just say no matter what, this was not as good. You know, it doesn't handle as good as having the stock sway bar, pretty obviously, but it will be really interesting to see how much of an improvement the BMR bar really is. So the crazy thing is, I just put the rear sway bar on the BMR, and you can really tell how much more darty the car is. Like, it just wants to just scoot around it, like every little second it just changes, which is surprising, or I guess what it probably should be doing, but it's kind of cool to see the difference. Now I know I just came from having no rear sway bar, and now I have the BMR sway bar on, especially at its stiffest setting, and granted the front sway bar is 100% fully factory V6 Camaro and all that, but it's just really interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to see how it does on the stiff, or on the corners that we're going to take it around here in a little bit. So I said how darty it really is, but one thing that's great is you can't even notice any difference just driving, you know, in a straight line. It doesn't affect ride or anything like that. I mean, it's almost like it's not there, but it'll just be really interesting to see how it does on these, you know, switchback turns and stuff that we're going up, that we have already done in the no sway bar and the stock sway bar. And like I said, guys, this is just a rear sway bar with no end links, no front sway bar, anything like that. It's just the BMR rear sway bar. So we're coming up on the roundabout. Let's see how it does. Let me give this guy a little bit of time. It's just so much dartier. It doesn't play any games. It just shoots. You know, point it and it goes. It's pretty awesome, actually. So one of the things I really like about like the BMR system and a lot of the other ones is that they're adjustable. So I set it to the stiffest setting right now just to get the biggest difference to see. Probably not what I'm going to stick with because I don't have the front bar right now, and you know, I'm not really tracking this car all that often, if at all. But it is kind of cool how just normal daily driving like this, you can't tell that it's there, that it's any different. I mean, same with having no sway bar in the rear. It was really interesting how that worked for me, or in my opinion, because I didn't even expect that. I figured you'd probably be able to feel it'd be a little bit more of a boat, you know, without it, and then with it, it'd be a little bit more Sprite, which it kind of is. I mean, there's no second to low one side of the suspension or not. And I know there's stiffer bars than this, you know, all of that, but it's just crazy. It doesn't take a second to load a side or anything like that. And I mean, I'm gonna say there's no complaints. I mean, from BMR you can buy it. That was a cool X5M, but from BMR you can buy it for 200 bucks. I picked this up off the forums for even less than that. You know, if handling is one of those things that you really want to switch up, or you know, make better, make it feel more like a sports car and less of a boat, then I mean, I feel like you gotta have it. But we're coming up on the part that's really gonna tell us if it's worth it or not. It has dropped a few degrees, like that's really gonna do anything. But I mean, yeah, H&R Super Sport lowering springs. The tires are Dunlop Dreza D0102s, or DZ102s, and yeah, I mean, it'd be really interesting to see how it handles this. Oh, so much more confidence. So much more confidence. The back doesn't want to step out, and the front just stays planted. The back, you know, had a little bit of movement there, but it was really readable. It wasn't roll, it was more like push. And so it'll be really interesting to see here on this corner how we do. I'm going to say I'll go in 4th gear. We're going to enter at 45 and pull up a little bit more speed. Oh, easy. That was like 61 through there, but we'll see how this goes. We'll enter. And right there was 59. So picked up 3 miles an hour right there, and it just made it like a piece of cake, I would say. I am actually surprised not only how much faster we can go, because yeah, it was a little bit faster, but the thing that really surprised me was how easy it was. I wasn't fighting the wheel or anything like that, and it didn't feel like I was driving a big boat that this car essentially is. I mean, it's like 3,700 pounds and just massive. So let's see what we can do coming back. These guys are probably tired of me turning around in their yard and blasting up and down their road today. But let's see, we'll enter 50. Easy. Easy. Now let's go 54, whatever. The off camber, you can barely even feel it. It's just so easy, so simple. I would say that's an A+. I mean, with speed and everything, you can tell that it handles better because of this rear sway bar. Okay guys, there you have it. As you can tell, adding the BMR rear sway bar really stepped up the performance game in terms of handling. Now, while it's not leaps and bounds faster, there's only so much little and cheap mods like this can do for any car. Now, a big car like the Camaro really benefits from that, as originally the car suffers from understeer. Add a little bit of support in the back, stiffen it up a little bit, and it aids to a little bit more oversteer and more playful and driving at the limit. So I really like it, and driving it around for a couple days, I can really tell the difference, and I'm very, very glad that I've done it. So just like you guys can go out and buy it. Now I know this specific BMR rear sway bar you can buy from BMR for around 200 bucks. I found mine on forums for even less. So I'd highly recommend, if you guys are trying to get rear sway bars or a lot of parts, go ahead and look on forums, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, different places like that. You can really do your research and find really great deals. Now, I'd highly recommend it for you guys if that's what you're trying to get out of your cars. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a massive difference, but it was really cool to see. So guys, if you like this video and like some of the real world testing that we've done, make sure to leave a like, thumbs up on this video. I really appreciate it. We're growing really fast, almost at 200 subscribers at this point. We might even be at 200 by the time this video goes up, and I really appreciate all the love and support. Now, we've got more videos on the way, tons of really great mods and great content for both my 2010 Camaro and my 2002 Subaru WRX. So just like that, guys, if you want to stick around for more, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Join some of the fam that's here with me. And just like that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.